ESPN has just announced that Julius Randle has decided to go through with a shoulder surgery for his injury, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season now. This injury will take him 5 months to recover from after the surgery, so he's not going to come back anytime soon, obviously. Windhurst mentioned that the reason why he delayed the surgery was that there were hopes within the Knicks organization, and Julius himself had been hopeful that he could have recovered enough from the injury where he could play through his pain. But he was still going to have to get this surgery anyways. But he wanted to try to see if he could recover from it enough where he could play through it. The Knicks wanted to do that too because they had hopes of going on a deep playoff run. You can't knock them for that. I don't blame them at all for taking that chance. It was kind of like a low risk, high reward type of deal. Now he's done for 5 months. The Knicks are now, I would say, in a difficult position. If you look at the standings right now, they're 44 and 31. They're in fifth place in the East. The team that's in eighth place right now is the Sixers at 41 and 35. I just bring that up because the Knicks are not that far from eighth place. If they get on a losing streak, they can easily find themselves in that position and possibly miss the playoffs if they don't find a way to start winning some games right now. They have already lost 3 in a row. Now, some people will be wondering, why should the Knicks go to the playoffs with no longer having Julius for the season and also possibly not having OG? I will say this, a lottery pick does not really benefit the Knicks this season. When you look at where they're projected to get if they miss the playoffs, probably around 13 or 14, somewhere in that range. That type of player that's available in that spot is not special. This year's draft is also not a good draft from what I've heard. The players 1 through 13 are basically on the same level. There's no player that really sets himself above and beyond the rest of these prospects. Most of these guys I've heard are not stars. They're just role players at best. So the Knicks can get that type of player. If they make the playoffs, they'll probably get something like a 17th or 18th pick. I'm just projecting, judging by their record and everything, which is pretty much going to get them the same type of player they would get with a late lottery pick. So to me, going for the lottery doesn't benefit the Knicks. Then you might ask, well, what's the point of going to the playoffs if they're not going to do anything? I'll say this, I don't expect the Knicks to get out of round 1 with what they have right now. I don't think they will. I respect Jalen Brunson. I don't think they'll get swept because I think Jalen Brunson is so great that he can win you a game or two against any of these East teams besides the Celtics. I think the Celtics would be the only team I could see sweeping the Knicks if they make it to the playoffs. But I think they should still go for the playoffs because it's just a pride thing. You want to at least continue to make the playoffs as an organization to create a winning culture where that becomes the norm. And also, I think it's just good for their players to continue to get more experience of being in the playoffs. Granted, they've been there the last 2 years, but I'm sure there are a few guys on their team that haven't been there. And just to get that chemistry, whatever they have left on their roster, get that cohesion, get that experience. I think it also would be good for Jalen Brunson to go to the playoffs again. Just granted, he's already been to a few, but you still want him to continue to go and just get more and more experience because eventually – that experience is going to pay off from him and the rest of these guys when their team is healthy and they're in a position to do something, whether that's next year or 2 years from now. That experience adds up over time. It's just the Knicks need to just get healthy now, and then they'll be able to capitalize off of that. So that's my mentality. They should still strive to get in and consider this year a success in the sense that they did a lot with what was dealt with them. They didn't have a fair hand. They had a lot of injuries. But in spite of that, they were still able to get into the playoffs. I think that's the way the Knicks fans should look at this team, that they were still a success despite everything that was thrown at them. Head into the offseason, see if they can sign some good free agents or make some trades or get a good draft pick or something and just continue to build the roster and go from there. So that's what I think the Knicks should do regarding this terrible situation with Julius Randle's injury.